Did you know your favorite medieval dress-up sim has a story mode? Sorry, let me rephrase. Did you know your favorite funny sword game has a story? That's right, the lore isn't just revealed through daily order descriptions or seasonal cinematics. You can play through a whole backstory that explains why the knights, Vikings, and samurai are fighting in the first place. It's partly because a cataclysmic event shattered the world and left each faction fighting for what scarce resources were left, but mostly because of one edgy wolf mom refusing to believe in peace.
I'll pass.
The story mode is basically the For Honor Museum. It's a way to see some of the game's most iconic characters, and it's probably the closest we'll ever get to release For Honor again. If you want to know why many players don't recommend new players start with the story mode, it's because unlike the multiplayer, it's received next to no updates. That means the movesets are outdated and attack speeds are way slower. But on the bright side, we get to see the minion kill animations again. Not that they're going to be much help for this video, since we're going to attempt beating the entirety of For Honor story mode without getting hit on the hardest difficulty. To my knowledge, no one has ever done or even attempted this, the closest being a no damage run that only got halfway through the Knights chapter. So this very well could be a world's first. Strap yourselves in and get comfortable, cause this is gonna be a long one. And I hope you guys aren't lactose intolerant, because in addition to squeezing out every ounce of skill, game knowledge, and sweat I have to get through this run, there will be cheese. I've got my coffee, my emotional support system, and a hole in the wall that's about to get much bigger. All I need now is the proper attire. Has this ever happened to you? You just spent hours perfectly dressing up your favorite samurai hero, and you think to yourself, wow, oh my god, Shigoki is love, Shigoki is life, I love a Shigoki shirt. So you go online to buy a t-shirt of your favorite samurai, and you find something not incredibilis. Millions of players around the world suffer from bad video game fashion. Don't be one of them. Choose Project Orochi, the cure to cringe video game and anime fashion. A streetwear brand inspired by all the coolest titles like Dark Souls, Berserk, Cyberpunk, and everyone's favorite funny sword game. Made by fans for fans, Project Orochi's designs are stylish, reimagined tributes as opposed to, wait, that's not even a PNG, that's a JPEG. Show your support that Skyrim is for the Nords and rep your god Talos. Or pay homage to your hometown of Riverwood and its iconic lumber mill. It's great to have video game merch that doesn't feel like video game merch. Most people wouldn't even know unless they also played the game. Yeah, so listen, the Norse world serpent Jormungandr inspired the Viking hero Jormungandr, who uses a hammer. If you want to be saved from the gaming merch drought and get some major drip, join the Project Orochi Discord community to help influence what title and designs they come up with next, and use my code for huge savings on your order. This Black Friday deal won't be around forever, so get it while it lasts. Thank you to Project Orochi for sponsoring this video. Side effects may include jealous stares, being too comfy, a full holiday wishlist, new friends, and having too much swag. Before we get started, let's outline what is and what isn't a hit. In most games, a hit is considered anytime the player character is staggered or loses health because of an enemy. Obviously, this means we can rule getting stabbed and even bashed as run enders. But this also applies to blocking, as we're still taking the hit. We need to avoid them or parry them. If an enemy parries us, I'm not counting it as a hit, but obviously getting parried will likely lead to us getting hit anyways. Successful guard breaks done to us will count as hits because they stagger us. And even if you disagree, the follow-up hit is guaranteed anyways, so either way, run over. However, I'm going to rule counter guard breaks function like parries as an active counter action, so as long as we counter them all, the run lives on. We're doing all of this on realistic difficulty, which doesn't unlock the Apollyon color palette, but it does remove the fight's UI elements, so no guard direction or attack indicators at all, and presumably more aggressive enemies with higher health. I don't know, it doesn't say, I'm completely guessing. However, I'm not a total masochist. While traditional no-hit runs cover the entire game in one run, we're taking baby steps, and every time we get hit, we reset to the latest checkpoint. But on realistic, there are no checkpoints, so we'll be sent back to the beginning of the level. Something I completely forgot about that was going to be a huge help for this run were the story mode feats. As you play the story mode and level up, you unlock new superpowers, and eventually you get stronger versions of those feats. The defensive and healing feats were useless for this run, and besides, the best defense is ensuring you never have to use it. The first chapter was the Knights campaign, and the hero we'd be playing as for most of these missions was the Warden. The first mission saw the Blackstone Legion attacking a castle we were hired to defend, and introduced us to the greatest knight that ever lived, Purvis Daubeny.
What a beautiful day!
It also introduced us to the game's controls and mechanics, with one of the first tutorials being on blocking. So no, you can in fact not beat For Honor without getting hit. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. A huge thank you to Okay, aside from mandatory sequences like the tutorial, can we beat For Honor without taking a hit? After only absorbing the attack part of the tutorial, we faced off against some more captains and dealt with our first 2-on-1 situation. If the Souls games have taught me anything, it's that there is in fact not an illusionary wall ahead, and that being over-aggressive during duo boss fights would leave us wide open to get hit. Instead, the best course of action was to waste stamina rolling around until we got them lined up one in front of the other, so we'd only have to fight one at a time. That wasn't too hard in a 2-on-1, a little bit trickier in a 20-on-1. In a normal playthrough, minions are pushovers who exist to get styled on. In this playthrough, annoying little shits that could end a run very quickly if we weren't careful. Luckily, in this case, we didn't have to deal with that. Okay, apparently we did. After playing footsies, we were able to safely lure the remaining minions to their doom. Except for one. I mean, dude's outside the castle, did we really need to worry about him?
Yes!
Our sword couldn't penetrate the door, and thankfully neither could the minions, so we spent the next several minutes trying to use Warden's shoulder bash to break the Pauli exclusion principle, but to no avail. Sadly, we had no choice but to... Oh. I guess he died of boredom. With the minions out of the way, we had to deal with the archers, and in our way stood a rival Warden for a few more seconds. Once again, our captains and minions failed us, and we had to deal with the enemy minions ourselves, this time in a tight corridor. Luckily, Warden's double tap worked on minions. We made our way up the stairs, and after aura farming,
That is how it is done!
Daubeny fought off 4 captains all by himself, clearing a path to the archers for us. We dropped on top of this guy and dealt with another Warden, while Daubeny and the rest of the gang fought off more invading soldiers. Unfortunately, this wasn't a timed objective like I thought. Trust me, I waited like 20 minutes. And we actually needed to get our hands dirty to progress, so we slowly picked off soldiers until the gate finally gave way. Holding cross, the lawbringer leading the charge with an obsession for Daubeny.
Daubeny! 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 What?
Challenged him to a 1v1, but his back was sore from carrying the team and had us step in to fight Cross's second for him. I wouldn't call this our first boss fight, more like the For Honor equivalent of Soldier of Godric. After supercharging our attacks, he failed to catch us with a light attack and fell victim to the Bop Bop Top combo. Almost ran out of stamina near the end, but we flawlessed Adamar and took his place in the Blackstone Legion.
We're finished here.
In the next level, we had to help the Iron Legion defend the best multiplayer map from a Viking invasion.
Where are reinforcements?
I'm it!
Rather than charge through the crowd head on, we ran up over by stone, did a sick front flip, then beat a berserker by being a master baiter.
You win.
Positioning ourselves over by the wall, we safely dealt with the captain and his security detail and reached a high enough kill streak to call in a 90-kilogram projectile from 300 meters. But it wasn't enough to finish off the minions at the gate, so we got behind the troops and rallied them, helping push the Vikings back and getting hit by one of our own captains. The rules state no receiving any damage or stagger from enemies, so technically this isn't a run ender. But at the same time, to me, a no-hit run means no getting hit. After a quick redo of our original steps, we safely inspired our minions to push back the Vikings and had to recapture the Citadel, starting with Zone A. We dealt with the archers on the bridge by Zone B, and just like the group on Zone A, the soldiers were reluctant to leave their post. After baiting out and tossing aside the captain, we dealt with the 2 minions and got shot by the sniper team at Zone C. Genuinely, I didn't even know they could shoot that far. So next time, after capturing Zone A, we ran straight to this ballista and started blasting. At Zone B again, we dealt with the minions and captain, and noticed the berserker wouldn't join us on the upper level, and that he was scripting. With several fainted top heavies, we brought him up to us. We just needed 1 parry since in old For Honor, a parry guaranteed a guard break. And yes, we would be abusing this for lots of the run. With an extra little shove, we knocked him out, took care of the archers, claimed Zone B, and got another catapult that we dropped on this captain over by Zone C. Inside this last zone was a captain and another scripting berserker. This area was way too narrow to properly lure her out, but on the other side of the zone, we had a bit more room, and a ledge. So we did the exact same thing to this berserker too. We beat the last captain and claimed Zone C, ready to push the Vikings out permanently. Hopping back on the ballista we used earlier, we picked off some more soldiers and berserkers to clear a path for our troops, and we were challenged by a Valkyrie, who didn't even really put up a fight. Working with stone, we were tasked with getting rid of the remaining Vikings in the area and dealing with any Iron Legion deserters. Right away, we were taught how to dodge roll and encountered a group of 4 Vikings. Weird time for that tutorial since rolling isn't even needed to get past them, and doing so triggered a cutscene. Running past enemies and triggering cutscenes is also something we'll be doing a lot of, because 9 times out of 10 it either relocates us to a safe place or outright deletes enemies. As we approached the shielded captain, we were treated to the guard break tutorial, and we introduced 4 Vikings to our Lord and Savior's warm embrace. The Viking outpost was a death trap filled with spikes. For them. After dethroning their leader, Stone opened the gate so we could move on, and we were ambushed by the Iron Legion deserters. Their peacekeeper was way faster than us and would chase us to the ends of the earth, so we brought her back to the outpost and told her to stick around. The rest of the knights could be easily avoided, so we ran past them until we got to their hideout, getting another cutscene with one of my favorite lines in the entire campaign.
One of us should go home and change.
After Stone pissed them off, the Conqueror and his team of captains attacked us. Well, the Conqueror did. But I didn't want to wait and play defensively, so we popped our wombo combo, used this tutorial on revenge to save us from taking a hit, and dealt with the rest of the deserters. Once the captains were defeated, our no-hit run was saved by Apollyon,
'Tis but a scratch.
who seconds earlier lost her own no-hit run. After surviving an assassination attempt, Apollyon lectured everyone about the wolves and the sheep before slaughtering the sheep and welcoming 2 new wolves into the Blackstone Legion.
Welcome to the Blackstone Legion.
Taking the fight to the Vikings, we got to play the next level as Apollyon's judge, jury, and executioner, Holden Cross, who walked right into an ambush. We ignored the troops and kept running, but unfortunately got shot by an archer. So on our next try, we had to employ serpentine maneuvers to get through the ambush safely. We rolled past this warlord, and even though the parry tutorial popped up and tried to stop us, we got past the raider too. The Viking catapults blasted our troops and the bridge, leaving it up to us to take them down.
Savages.
After telling this raider to chill, we got to the first crew and tried carrying the warlord towards the ledge, but he kept blocking it. We got on the other side, and we could have just tossed him off the ledge if Lawbringer's backwards throw wasn't completely bugged and threw to the right instead. On our next attempt, we made our impale unblockable, and the game decided to target a minion. I'm sure it wouldn't happen again. After finally getting him off the ledge, we took out the minions and the first catapult, and like a heavily armored siren, lured another raider to their watery grave. Oh. Well, at least we knew where the catapults were landing now. Speaking of catapults, the second catapult was manned by a singular raider, and since he had a name, I assumed he was tougher, so we blinded him with some pocket sand we grabbed earlier, and wailed on him with beefed up attacks. We got him down to about 1/4 health before a scripted hit knocked us down onto the ice.
My back!
We lost our buffs and he gained 3 of his own. Most people would run away to wait out his buffs, but it actually made him even easier to take down.
You're fucking in for it now.
The final segment of this mission was one I was dreading. After shooting a bridge ballista, we had to cross the bridge to the fortress, dealing with a battalion of minions while under fire from archers. Luckily, we made it to the fort unscathed first try, but before getting the gate open, we had to get through this warlord. Tight corridors suck for a fight, but there was a window we could throw this warlord out of if we could get him over there.
And you fail.
Yeah, Lawbringer's Impale in the story mode is a bit janky. That, or I needed more practice with it, since it felt like you had to be practically touching the enemy for it to connect. Starting over again, we made our way past the ambush. Everything went smoothly and we got back to the fort.
Is this a joke?
We successfully pinned the warlord before dropping him out the window and following him down. All we had to do now was open the gate, and luckily there were spikes by the raider guarding the winch.
Oh, you've got to be fucking kidding me.
I hated this section. Actually, loathed it entirely. There was always something that went wrong, and it felt more like this last part of the mission was purely based on luck rather than anything else. And clearly our luck was pretty bad. Finally, after an ungodly amount of attempts, I decided to stop working harder and start working smarter. After sinking the raider and rejoining the main force, we launched the bridge and backed off. Our minions didn't rush onto the platform, so why should we? We let the Viking minions come to us, leaving a clear bridge behind them for us to run across, save one minion. With an orange impale, we dealt with the warlord and successfully got the drop attack as another warlord came out to chase us down. Instead of rushing to deal with the raider by the spikes and potentially get overwhelmed, we ran up these stairs and into another group of our forces who crossed a different bridge. These forces, including the warden we played as, clogged up the stairs and dealt with the warlord for us. They also kept us from getting down the stairs for so long that another warlord came out to hunt us down. So we tactically retreated to the bridge and dropped him into the canyon. In the meantime, our troops had dealt with the raider for us, so we safely opened the gate, welcomed the Blackstone Legion to Valkenheim, and I thank God that I never had to play this mission ever again. As we couldn't leave a force behind to guard the prisoners, the easy solution was to leave no prisoners. While executing the Vikings, Apollyon stopped Holden from beheading this raider, even though he killed Davis.
This beast killed at least 40 soldiers, including Davis.
Who the fuck is Davis? Apollyon welcomed him into her clan of furries and left us scratching our heads. The next mission, Sabotage, put us in the shoes of the peacekeeper, Mercy. As an assassin, she was much faster than the Warden or Holden Cross, letting us evade patrols much easier, which was basically the name of the game for this mission. The plan was to avoid combat at all costs, but take advantage of insta-kills by playing Assassin's Creed. While the environment allowed us to get many drop kills, it also had a lot of narrow paths and areas that made getting around the Vikings a little bit trickier. Until I remembered PK's sprint and guard break. With a longer grab range, it was safe to guard break and toss away enemies to get by them. Unlike the other missions, we also sometimes had a choice of what path to take. So we took whatever had less enemies or an easier area to navigate. Honestly, I have no interest in commentary for this part, but I felt obligated to show just how beyond useless these Vikings are. They clearly saw an intruder run by or even assault them, and they didn't even chase after her or alert the fort. They just went back to sitting by their campfire. Anyways, after getting through everyone, we entered the fort and dealt with this berserker who was afraid of heights. A captain very slowly came over to investigate the disturbance before getting Goomba stomped, and we encountered a very agoraphobic raider.
Wow, well that's unfortunate.
After dealing with this captain, we sabotaged one of the mechanisms and almost got jump scared by a berserker.
Nice try.
Thank God for the minimap. We led her outside to this very unsafe balcony and tossed her off. After a couple more throws. We dealt with another captain that attended the Shao Kahn School of Fighting and sabotaged the second mechanism. All we had to do now was get up the ladder and catch the elevator. But the button was guarded by a raider. Oh no! Anyways. Since most of the enemies could be completely avoided, this was by far one of, if not the easiest mission in the entire game for this run, especially when compared to what we had to deal with next. The final part of the Knight's campaign was probably the mission I dreaded the most in this chapter.
What?
If not the entire story mode.
This is the stupidest fucking mission in the game.
From a stealth mission to an escort mission, Wolves Among Sheep started with us protecting a battering ram slowly moving towards a Viking fort, while minions, captains, and the occasional hero were thrown our way. And if any enemies entered the giant orange square surrounding the ram, it was stopped until they were cleared out. This wasn't necessarily difficult, just really tedious. As long as we didn't do anything stupid. The raiders could be defeated by spamming unblockables, and the berserkers were easily baited. The Valkyries had fast light attacks and a tendency to dodge, but if we unlocked and spammed orange lights, they just shut down. Really, our main threats were stray 200-kilogram projectiles and the archers. Slowly but surely, we made our way towards the gate, and wait, you're not supposed to do that. Okay, this raider was good, but not good enough to counter unlocked buffed orange light spam. Another Valkyrie was shut down, this time with some pocket sand we ran ahead to grab, and we were nearly at the gate. Unfortunately, the ram had gotten real close to the enemy's spawn point, and our troops were having a hard time keeping them at bay, so we had to step in.
Oh, you've gotta be kidding me, man.
If nothing else, this run has made me sympathize with and understand chivalry players that absolutely despise archers.
Is there an inspire or some kind of boost? Oh, there is one. Okay, morale booster will work.
Morale booster was a Hail Mary we could use to keep the ram moving, and yeah, no, I actually don't think it did anything. Getting involved was incredibly risky, and if we left the zone to take out some enemy minions, the ram would be captured by Vikings and then we'd have to recapture it before it could move again. And we couldn't keep the enemy out long enough to recapture it, and the ram would just get pelted by the catapults.
You can still push. Just run over the enemy minions. I promise it's going to be okay.
Honestly, I didn't know what to do. Even without this run's restrictions, this mission is stupid. I hate it. At this point though, we had also restarted the mission so many times that we had everything up to this point down to a science. Unblockable spam the first raider, stop by the campfire to grab morale booster for later, use a damage boost to spawn kill the berserker, deal with the first 3 archers, return to the ram, parry the raiders heavy for 2 heavies and double lights on another side, do it again and he's dead, head over to the right, wombo combo unlock light spam to deal with the Valkyrie, then remove the archers, return to the ram, selfishly use morale booster to help put down the berserker, go and grab some pocket sand. By the time the super raider comes in, our wombo combo is recharged, blind the Valkyrie so she couldn't do anything, slice up the last archers, ram gets to the enemy spawn, punch hole in wall, repeat. Eventually, I said fuck it, let's just see how well our team could do without us intervening.
Holy shit, it's actually moving. Maybe the strategy is to just let the boys be.
Standing still in the zone prevented the Vikings from capturing it, meaning it didn't get bombarded with catapults despite standing still, and obviously we didn't have to worry about recapturing the ram since it would always be in our possession. Problem was, obviously, it spent most of the time contested, and once the area was no longer contested, it took our minions a second or two to register this before pushing the ram, so it didn't go fast and it didn't go far. But when we got lucky, we got lucky.
Oh. No fucking way. Go. Oh my god. Oh my god, was this the solution all along?
At this point, I also wondered where the hell Holden Cross, Stone, and Mercy were, because if they were here, like they should have been, none of this would be a problem. They could deal with all of these minions and captains for us.
Oh my god. Dude. They're gonna do it. They're gonna do it. Come on, push. One final push. We are closer than we were. Almost there. Come on, go. Oh my god. Oh my god. There's a chance. I better not, like, take a freak arrow or a stray minion hit after all of this. Oh my god, go, minions! I can't believe this. I hope I haven't ran out of disk space. That would be real fucking unfortunate. You guys can do it, I believe. Oh god, they're running like a fucking marathon before they even get to the fight. You guys are unreal. Oh my god. Oh my god. Oh my god. They did it. They had to have, right? We just got like a big heal. Oh my god. Oh my god.
20 minutes later, they did it. Holy shit, I didn't think they could. The moral of the story, kids, work smarter, not harder. If others are willing to do the work for you, let them. Our journey was far from over though, as now we had to deal with 3 courses of big beefy warlord. The good news is that we just hit a checkpoint. Yeah, it turns out on Realistic, the only missions with checkpoints are the boss levels, and they're placed at the first encounter with each boss. The first phase of the Gudmundur boss fight was atop the ram, but honestly it really wasn't a fight at all because he was really good at throwing telegraphed attacks, or getting goaded into using said telegraphed attacks. This was and would be the easiest part of the mission. After successfully breaking into the fortress, we wall-mounted this raider, grabbed this morale booster, and waited for our troops to clear a path. We got past this Valkyrie and found Gudmundur again, this time joined by his canine companions. So, in case the big-ass tooltip didn't give it away, we were supposed to deal with the wolves by externally guarding. Unfortunately, that was a no-no for this run. And actually, interestingly, if I changed the rules and said, oh, it's no longer no hit, it's no damage, blocking the wolves, you still take chip damage. Obviously, we needed to think outside the box and stop playing For Honor like For Honor, and start playing it like a Souls game. While Gudmundur kept to himself, it was hard to keep an eye on all his wolves at once. Not to mention the roll timing was a little tricky. After throwing ourselves to the wolves time and time again, eventually we noticed that they behaved a little weird near the walls, particularly while we were in this corner over here. When we hugged the stone corner, for some reason it seemed like our roll window was a lot bigger, and any wolf that attacked was likely to get stuck on the wall while the others waited until it was freed or killed before moving into attack. Yeah, the wolves were real janky. Oh, and that happened a lot too.
That... what? That wasn't... what? Why, dude?
Way too many tries later, we finally managed to take out all the wolves, and Gudmundur approached us to throw a hissy fit, leaving him open for us to use morale booster to boost our damage and land some free hits. I thought that was it, easy peasy. Unfortunately, his wolves would come back in pairs of 2 after he received a bit of damage. And they respawned almost immediately. After hours, and I literally mean hours of trying this, most of the time failing to even get past the wolves unscathed, I was tempted to give up, or at least allow us to block the wolves and only the wolves. Because even if we managed to survive the first wave, it seemed impossible to deal with the respawning wolves. But what if the wolves didn't respawn? Gudmundur stopped standing his ground and started chasing us once only one wolf remained, and as long as that one wolf from the original pack was alive, he wouldn't throw a temper tantrum or summon more wolves. If we could chip away at his health while only having to avoid one wolf, maybe we had a shot. Obviously though, we still needed to get through all the other wolves without being hit, so this run we're watching right now wouldn't count. But this plan seemed so much more attainable and completely restored my faith in the run. After a few attempts with this new plan, we finally got Gudmundur down to one wolf and employed our hit and run tactics. Once our unblockable ran out, we took out the wolf, triggered morale booster, and wailed on Goodmandir. Woo, baby! Beating the hardest part of our no-hit run in the Knights chapter, if not the whole story mode.
We have finally got Goodmandir.
This was no time for celebration though, because we still had one more phase to go. After racing through the last part of the stronghold, we found Goodmandir kneeling before his burning hall. With nothing left to lose, he wildly leapt at us again, and again, and again. We had to be careful though not to feed him revenge, so when he was nearly dead, after parrying him, we used our guaranteed guard break and tossed him into the fire. It didn't kill him, I thought it would, but it didn't fill his revenge meter either. One more parry sealed his fate, and Goodmandir and his fortress fell. This mission may have cost me a lot of lost sleep and sanity, but hey, now I can put on my resume that we successfully invaded Valkenheim in the winter.
Yes, so?
Without getting hit.
Right this way. Sorry to keep you waiting.
Disgusted by the destruction, the Warden left the Blackstone Legion after learning that Apollyon planned to keep just enough food for the remaining Viking clans to fight amongst themselves, rather than burn it all to give them a common cause and unite against the Knights.
Time to go home.
We officially closed the chapter on the Knights story mode no-hit run, and prepared to step into the boots of the Vikings. The Viking chapter picked up a year after the Knights left the Vikings starving and squabbling amongst themselves for what little food remained. The Raider, who we'd be playing as for most of the missions, saw this injustice and came down from the mountains to unite the clans, by killing anyone who refused to join the Warborn. The first mission started in a cramped part of the village we were raiding, and immediately we learned that the Raider fat rolls, so we needed to be much more careful when getting around troops. This mission might as well have been called the Geneva Suggestions though, because our goal was to commit arson and pillage the town's food. It was further encouraged by the endlessly responding fire flasks, so we handed them out like Norse Oprah Winfrey. With our endless supply of firebombs and a team of bodyguards taking care of enemy heroes for us, we successfully killed our fellow countrymen and stole all their food.
We did it, Patrick! We saved the city!
After dooming his village, we knocked on the town hall door and confronted the leader, Ragnar, the guy who killed Davis back in Knights Chapter 4.
Master, this beast killed Davis.
Well done.
He invited us into his house, where we proceeded to try and murder him. Understandably, he tried to escape, and we began a high-speed chase on horseback. But despite not getting hit, we started with some missing HP. I assume just as something to make this part of the mission harder on the higher difficulties, because really it's not that difficult. We just had to swing at the other Vikings that appeared every so often and avoid hazards, until we found a conveniently placed axe to play catch with Ragnar. Lamenting him for being a Viking and doing Viking things, we executed Ragnar, and all of his soldiers we were slaughtering 12 seconds earlier happily joined us.
But they were a start.
There were even more Vikings out there who would join our cause, but they were being held hostage.
That's just barbaric.
I've seen you take scalps.
It's different.
The mission Viking Diplomacy tasked us with negotiating the safe return of Warborn prisoners, which we did through violence.
Stupid.
Oh yeah.
We freed our first prisoner and had to start over. After we dealt with all 3 guards on Zone C, the freed berserker joined us to rescue the other prisoner and occupied one of the hostage takers for us. Or so I thought. Once again, we learned from our mistakes, this time ensuring both the berserker and raider were dealt with before freeing our second prisoner. This pissed off our ex-girlfriend who sent out more soldiers. Unfortunately for them, we brought napalm. Unfortunately for them, I brought 2. Cooking their heroes gave our side a much easier time and we quickly overran them before our ex called out to us,
You talk too much.
challenging us to a duel. We hit the funny and quickly overwhelmed her. Although we got parried, she didn't know her punishes, failed to capitalize, and burnt to death.
Days of blood stirred
One of the Vikings we rescued had a cool bear for a hat, and we got to play as him in the next mission where we took back the shipyard from the Knights.
Dap me up, my boy.
This mission is actually one of the best for quickly farming XP in the story mode, earning roughly 3000 XP per mission, with the missions lasting anywhere from 5 to 6 minutes. I actually used it to get to the max level, and it's also one of the easiest missions to beat without getting hit. This clip is actually from one of those runs while I was farming XP. After charging this warden off a cliff, we entered the shipyard. There were knights everywhere, but we didn't need to fight all of them, and most of the groups could be avoided entirely. Also, there were plenty of opportunities for environmental kills. We got this fire flask and drowned the conqueror, then attempted to corral a group of knights before torching them. Unfortunately, it's a well-known fact that I suck at throwing fire flasks, and this was no different. We grabbed another one from over in the upper section of the sawmill, and once we lured the lawbringer away from the gate, we cooked this group of knights too. A third flask was by the second ballista, but we wouldn't use it yet. Instead, we hopped on one of the ballistas and started blasting because none of the knights decided to try and fight the Vikings shooting at them. Or hell, none of them even tried to investigate the source of the giant ballista bolts. Once we took out everyone we could see, we brought in our reinforcements and torched the walkway. Once again on the ballista, we shot everything we could see, and after taking out 2 rounds of archers, we were confronted by the knight's leader. After dropping his guards off for swimming lessons, we chased him down and threw him overboard. It really is that simple. After completing this super easy mission, spoils that totally weren't planted by Apollyon showed that our Japanese neighbors, who already were forced out of their previous homeland, were finally having a good year. So, like the good neighbors that we were, we assembled our fleets and invaded, launching an assault on their beachhead fort. V-Day was yet another mission I was dreading, just due to the sheer number of enemies. But hey, at least according to the raider,
The gates of that fortress hadn't worked for a century. All we had to do was get through them.
What a load of bullshit.
so we turned to plan B. After spending way too long baiting out this Kensei, we found Runa the Valkyrie and watched as she took on 4 captains. We gave her a hand with one of them, but then backed off. There was no need to get involved, she could handle herself. Is what I thought until I locked on to one of the captains and realized she didn't deal any damage. The timing couldn't have been worse because as soon as I realized this, the Kensei came back. After fumbling dozens of attempts, there was one where the Kensei was already near dead. And yes, I was pissed off when I dropped the ball on that one too. But if Runa couldn't damage enemies, someone else had to be able to. My first thought was it was the minions, but they weren't very efficient, so it definitely wasn't them. Then I realized this Kensei was hellbent on taking us down, meaning we could drag him all the way over to Stagandir and our captains. With the Kensei out of the way, we ran over to Runa and took down the captains for her, and she thanked us by hitting us.
Runa, you mother...
So we did it all over again, and after helping out Runa without getting hit by her, we used a grapple gun to scale the wall. We dodged a crate, but unfortunately not the volley of flaming arrows. I wondered if it was even possible to avoid the arrows, but realized on our next try that all we had to do was slow down.
Here, hold this. Thanks.
Up top on the wall, we had to look for a way to open the gate, and after picking up the Fury Feet nearby, we nearly got jumped by a Kensei. We raced through the rampart, avoiding everyone except for this minion, right before the ladder that would take us to the gate winch too. We ran through the rampart again, collecting 2 Fury Feats and barely managed to get past the Kensei and his minions, but hey, we got past him. The Kensei and Shigoki jumped down, but weren't fast enough, and we opened the gate, triggering a cutscene that would remove them and introduce a new threat.
Oh, shit!
Great, fast and nimble assassin, just what I wanted to deal with at this point. Thankfully, the Orochi made the big brain move of opening with a dash forward light. Idiot. We made our way through the fort and reunited with our forces, getting a new objective that we would completely ignore. Amped up on adrenaline, we got past the Kensei and rushed through the samurai forces. Successfully pushing back the samurai army, somehow, we came face to face with the commander of the fortress, who told us he would pay us if we left. Unfortunately, we didn't understand him.
You're in my way!
So we created some space, supercharged our attacks, and smacked him on his head until he gave up. Officially in samurai territory, we had no idea where anything actually was. So in the next mission, Reconnaissance, we were sent into the swamps as Runa the Valkyrie to search for maps to help navigate to the capital. Immediately, we were ambushed by the samurai. So I guess this is one of those nobody will notice if there's nobody to notice kind of stealth missions. I figured the best course of action was to kill the enemy heroes as quick as possible to avoid getting outnumbered, and after light spamming 2 Kenseis who tried to roll away, another Kensei and an Orochi joined the fight. Luckily, there was a fire flask next to a group of samurai, so we grouped them up and lit them up, making it much easier to finish off the heroes. One small group remained and we took them out with no problem at all. Our stealth mission was a total success. Never mind. With the samurai in high alert, we came across an outpost with a captured berserker. Since gravity was much more dangerous than any of our attacks, we lured the Kensei up the tower. Turns out Orochi had the same idea. The Kensei practically hugged the spikes and the Orochi kept chasing us, so didn't really leave us with a window to use the spikes. So we revisited the ladder strategy. After looping the Orochi, we climbed the ladder to the very top, sat on his face, fell off the ladder and hit the ground? Wait, what? It took a bit of experimenting, but I figured it out. I was pressing the B button to slide down the ladder, but I was letting it go after hitting the Orochi, which was causing us to also let go of the ladder for some reason. So all we had to do was hold down the B button and slide all the way down. Sadly, the Kensei wouldn't fall for this trick, so we had to think of something else. After dealing with the security guards, I remember that Valkyrie has a shield tackle, and originally it was accessed off a back dodge. So we used it to safely knock the Kensei towards the spikes and mounted him on the wall. Our next mission was to take out 4 targets by the docks, so we grabbed our tools and got to work. On our way to the dock, we found another javelin and noticed some fire flasks lying about. So we played catch with 2 of the samurai and sicked our pet berserker on the wounded Orochi.
Not bad!
You are made of...
We collected the fire flasks and made the samurai's bonfire even bigger. We jebaited the nearly dead Kensei chasing us before cooking and skewering the remaining samurai heroes. 1 minion was left on this dock, and as we still had no idea where we were going, we interrogated him.
What did they tell you?
I don't speak Japanese.
Well, now what?
This wasn't all for nothing though. We could see a monastery in the distance, and it definitely had maps because all monasteries have maps. So Runa decided to continue her trail of death and destruction at the temple. The second part of this mission was a quick snatch and grab. We ran past everyone, climbed to the highest room in the tallest tower, tossed this guy off of the highest room in the tallest tower, stole the sacred texts, and made our daring escape. With the way to the capital now in our possession, all that was left to do was break in. Apparently we tried for 3 days to take the bridge, and like me, the Vikings were stubborn and said, well, if we wasted all this time and energy, we better not leave empty-handed. We had to push the samurai forces back, and instead of charging headfirst into the crowd, we ran around to get a good view from the other side to watch as our troops very slowly made their way to this end of the bridge. Once they got close enough, some archers and captains moved in on our position. There's also normally an Orochi who joins them, but I wasn't about to complain about one less enemy to fight. Once we dealt with the troops and captured the zone, we joined Runa and watched as our soldiers once again tried to gain ground. They weren't moving forward at all, and any heroes that were killed respawned shortly after. So we tried to encourage Runa to get back into the fight, and I meant to roll into her, not jump off the ledge. So we took on the arduous task of waiting for our troops to do all the work once more until we got jump scared by the captain and his gang of archers. This time they were backed up by the Orochi. Big brain.
Bye-bye.
After capturing the zone, we once again watched both sides duke it out alongside Runa. Okay, yeah, they still weren't making any progress, so this time we properly encouraged Runa to get back to work, and even though she helped clear the minions, the line wasn't moving forward at all. I don't know, maybe we just needed to give it a little bit more time.
1 hour later.
That's not a joke, by the way. I literally let the game run for an hour and no progress was made at all. It seemed like we needed to get our hands dirty, or at the very least, be a nuisance to the samurai. In truth, our mere presence was enough to help move our troops forward. I cannot believe we wasted an hour just to learn that. Anyways, once the enemy heroes were dealt with, we felt confident enough to keep pushing forward until we finally reached the gate. There was no need to go down the center, just going down one of the side halls was enough to inspire our troops to rush in, and they successfully overwhelmed the samurai, capturing the gate.
This is no gate. It's more like a door.
Look, they may be idiots, but at least they're good in a fight. Much to our dismay though, we walked right into a trap, as the ghost of Natsushima emerged from the smoke and cut down our minions. The samurai had surrounded us from the other side. Letting out a scream for Valhalla, we let our allies lead the way. And once the way was clear, we approached Tozen, who multiplied before our eyes. He may have outnumbered one raider, but he didn't outnumber a whole army. Our Inspire boost we picked up earlier came in handy, and before long, 2 clones were finished before we jumped in to help with the third.
All of that just to get hit by either a minion or a stray hit? Bro. Can we pretend it didn't count?
Unfortunately, a hit is a hit. So we learned our lesson, and on the next try we didn't get involved. Once Tozen's clones were dealt with again, our forces pushed back another wave of soldiers before we came face to face with the real Tozen. At least I have to assume he's got the full health bar.
You are a raider. Legendary.
He's right.
Dumb bitch. Come on, get foggy.
Outstanding.
Okay, I take back what I said earlier. I think it was Knights Chapter 5 with Peacekeeper. This is the easiest mission in the game to no-hit. You have to capture one zone with the archers, the captains, and one Orochi, and then you only need to kill Tozen, who can be ledged. Still pissed that I wasted so much time for our minions to just need our presence to move forward. But I digress. With their general defeated, the samurai fled, leaving us to our spoils and riches while Apollyon watched on, admiring that her plan was working. Immediately after helping the Vikings invade and pillage the samurai, we got to help the samurai push the Vikings back, playing as the self-appointed best swordsman in the kingdom. Once our friends got us out of jail. Our crime? Not being subscribed to MarcoYolo. Can't say that with a straight face. Kinda stupid to leave your best swordsman in jail while you're being invaded, but thankfully our friends didn't leave us hanging. Joined by Ayu the Kensei, we learned that fire plus oil equals boom, and got past these captains.
Excuse me?
We got past these lag switchers and played For Honor like it's Hitman, taking out several key targets with happy little accidents. Believe it or not though, this wasn't without its challenges, as we were still dealing with hackers.
Stop it.
Thankfully, we had Ayu to back us up, and after the last raider blew up, we were in the right place at the right time to deal with the final target. After almost getting hit by a minion, we crossed the bridge to meet up with Momiji, who was showing off her poison traps. Using them, we defended the magical poison tree from waves of Vikings. We didn't have to do much as our friends took care of the weakened foes for us. I mean, we did fight 2 raiders who came our way, but they were no match for our orange light spam. We did try helping a few times and came very close to regretting it, but thankfully got through all 3 waves unscathed. Ready to finally push the Vikings out, we regrouped with our friends and army. An arrow storm dealt with several troops while we used explosives to deal with their archers, but our side still wasn't making much progress. We tried inspiring them, but I don't think it did much. One thing I did notice though is our friends were following us around rather than working with our soldiers. So we led them into the fight and picked up more fire arrows whenever the feet respawned to pick off their captains. Slowly but surely, we pushed the Vikings back and out of the city, and we closed the gates. Oh shit, right, this part. Okay, shit. Well, just like the blocking tutorial, I'm considering this a section where it's mandatory that you get hit to continue, or I guess block. So as long as we blocked everything and didn't get hit, it's fair game. Obviously it's not hard though, it's basically just a rhythm game, matching the direction to block as a horse rode by. After getting trampled, we managed to kill an innocent horse, and realized these knights were from the Blackstone Legion. Oh, and that our Kensei was missing. Apollyon had rounded up all the daimyos, told them their emperor was dead, and wanted to see who was willing to take up the throne. The Shigoki said no, and was no more. But the resident edgelord declared he would kill Ayu and the other daimyos, then Apollyon. Impressed, or possibly turned on, she made him emperor and took the remaining daimyo away to fight over the scraps, trying to incite yet another civil war.
Hey, I've seen this one.
Dropped off in the swamps with nothing but our sword and well wishes from Apollyon.
Happy hunting.
Like with the Vikings, Apollyon was planning to incite a civil war between each of the clans. To stop this, we had to cut off the heads of each snake before it could happen. There were 3 other daimyos in the mire with us, and we'd be starting with the fat one. After grabbing some poison for later, the biggest threat wasn't Kizan himself, but his team of snipers. After carefully taking them out, we made our way to the Shigoki, and got startled by one of his patrols. Doing it all again, we came face to face with the fat bastard and impaled him on the spikes. We began making our way to the next target when I realized we were being followed by a Nobushi determined to avenge her leader, so we led her to the docks and told her to cool off. Making our way to Ranja, we realized she didn't have nearly as many soldiers defending her. That's because her gimmick was instant revenge. We were prepared for this though, so we ran by her and dropped a poison trap. But we got caught in the blast radius. Doing it all again. This time we ran past her and led her as far as she would chase us before feinting an attack to get her to pop revenge. We then left the area so she would go back to her prayer spot, giving us a chance to safely place a poison trap and take her on. I got real scared when she parried us there, but thankfully she didn't know her punishes and failed to capitalize, handing us the win. With 2 down, we could now head to Dokuja, the final daimyo. To get to him, we had to go through Kizan's little fortress again. Inside one of the buildings was an arrow storm. Hey, speaking of arrows,
You gotta be fucking kidding me.
This run we managed to kill Kizan without dealing with his snipers. A decision we quickly came to regret. Doing it all again. We collected the arrow storm kill streak and found Dokuja, who immediately started running. We called in the arrow storm and managed to kill one of his bodyguards. Thankfully there were some flaming arrows so we could finish him off ourselves. But he liked to hang out on the dock where his bouncers kept us away. We snuck by, fired off a shot, and got nicked by one of the captains. Doing it all again. again. We got to Dokuja and his gang, let loose the arrow storm, which hit him at least 2 or 3 times, ran back to pick up a fire arrow, and shot him as he ran by. Even though this mission gave us some trouble, it's one of my favorites in this run, probably mostly just for that kill. Anyways, after killing each daimyo, the clan still had the audacity to team up and challenge Ayu, who pointed out Apollyon is trying to divide them.
Apollyon wants us to go to war with ourselves!
Her rousing speech was interrupted by Okuma the Shigoki, who imparted his words of wisdom.
My name is Jeff.
Back in the boots of the Orochi, who had found Ayu's handiwork, we followed the sounds of battle to our samurai besties fighting off the remaining Vikings. There were 6 chieftains we had to take out, the first being a raider who slipped and fell off this bridge. While he and several others held their ground, one Valkyrie was hunting us down, but I recognized this part of the map from the last mission, and we lured the Valkyrie to the dock so she could swim with the Nobushi. Back at the fort, we tried to get past this warlord, and in our rolling back and forth, we got in Okuma's way and ate his kanabo. Next time, after we sent the Valkyrie to the swamp, for real, our allies actually took out one of the chieftains for us. When we got back to the fort, we shot one of the raiders who, understandably, was pretty pissed off and chased after us. I thought, hey, let's do the same thing, lead him to the docks, send him in the water. But when we got to the docks, he just turned around.
Fuck this shit, I'm out.
I mean, hey, we could still use this to our advantage though, we just needed to hoard arrows and use hit and run tactics. Once we shot all the chieftains in the back, we regrouped with the gang, collected some more arrows, and shot up the Vikings at the dock. It took a lot of time and a lot of arrows, but we finally got rid of them all. Oh shit, it took so long, no wonder they got away. With no Vikings left to force out of the mire, we could refocus our attention on taking the palace back from Seijuro, who quite literally told us, "I'm the king of the castle, you're the dirty rascals," and unless we kissed his feet, he wouldn't let us in. So Ayu sent us and Momiji into the palace on a stealth mission. Yeah, right, stealth. Carving our way through several pieces of paper and running past guards, we dropped on the Shigoki and played catch with Seijuro's pet elephant. Now pissed off and attacking everyone and everything, we could goad the elephant into breaking down the gate for us by waving our arms. The area was big, but there were still a lot of minions we had to watch out for. At the same time, it was important to keep our eye on the giant wrecking ball. But that was easier said than done when sometimes taunting didn't trigger the elephant, and it made us an easier target for the Shigoki. Once we stopped spamming taunt, it seemed to be a little bit more reliable, and in no time the elephant had become our personal bowling ball and battering ram. We led our forces in and helped them push back Seijuro's army by cheering them on from a distance. Once we captured the plaza, we captured the high ground and stopped the archers by running around until our teammates killed them for us. Likewise, instead of fighting Seijuro's 4 generals all by ourselves, we used the power of friendship and distracted one of them while our allies kicked their asses. Upset that we broke his toys and killed his men, Seijuro threw a temper tantrum and didn't want to play anymore. Until we revealed we were the greatest swordsman in the Empire, and he said, "No, I'm the greatest swordsman in the Empire." So we fought. But not understanding that teamwork makes the dream work, our friends left Seijuro to us. What assholes. We looped around the screens, giving us time to supercharge our attacks, and we beat the interim emperor with the unstoppable and exciting unlocked orange light spam. Now over his emotional outburst, we convinced Seijuro to work with us and decided to take the fight to our real enemy, the Knights. Alongside Momiji again, we went to figure out what the hell was going on in Ashfeld. After defeating the patrols, and by defeating the patrols I mean just dispatching their leaders, we entered the outpost and set off the alarm. We split up, with Momiji dealing with the troops below while we handled the archers. With the archers defeated, we patiently waited for our Nobushi to do her job. but she was more interested in having a staring contest with these captains. We lent her a helping hand, motivating her to finish off the remaining troops, and she let us know she saw a warden leading troops away from the fortress.
Leading a group of knights.
We followed the trail to find the warden we played as in the Knights campaign had defected, now repping the green and yellow. Before we could do anything, the Knights opened fire on us because we were samurai and we didn't belong there. Momiji took an arrow to the knee. No, I am not joking.
I hope I can keep adventuring!
And we were stuck doing another escort mission. Despite barely being able to walk, she would stop and fight anyone we encountered, so we had to take them out quick to keep her moving. Along the way, we picked up some stalwart banners because once we got to the edge of the map, instead of just leaving, we had to fend off some enemies. The first round of minions were easy to deal with, but I didn't want to risk attacking the warden without unblockable, which was on cooldown. So we turned our attention to the captains and minions that had just arrived, which almost got Momiji killed. Thankfully, when we placed a stalwart banner, she was smart enough to get closer to it and began healing up. And for some reason, the Knights also just let her? Hey, I'm not complaining though. We placed our last banner and slowly dealt with the captain and the warden before turning our attention to the minions. Momiji locked eyes and began dancing with the last captain, but there would be no happy ending for these star-crossed lovers, since once our unblockable feat came back, we put him down. No, we didn't need it for him, because once Momiji escaped...
Hey, you. Finally awake.
I think something's wrong with my copy of the game.
We are not your enemy, champion.
You executed the Imperial family.
Okay, so the Orochi is either colorblind, or he's just as racist as the Knights. Also, I don't know why, but the line delivery and situation reminds me of the greatest DLC of all time when John Marston confronts the Bigfoot.
You eat babies! We eat berries!
Anyways, back to the game. Even though she had handed us back our sword, we didn't believe her and decided to fight the warden in the middle of the entire Knight army. Great plan. What was your next steps going to be?
This is my fight.
Luckily, she decided to 1v1 us, and we used our unstoppable combo until... Oh, it's fine. I guess guard breaks after parries are only guaranteed for us. After embarrassing the warden in front of her forces, we let her live and became lovers.
Once you cross swords with someone, you know they're hard.
Man, that line would hit different if I had played as male warden. It had all come down to this. The Knights and Samurai had seen through Apollyon's manipulations, and with a combined force, brought the fight to her doorstep.
At last.
To help the Knights, our first task was to take out 2 catapults. There was a lawbringer and a warden guarding each, and we lit them both up because respawning fire arrows. We moved on to deal with the archers, and found one of the most difficult parts of this mission would be avoiding our allies. No, I'm not joking. After successfully avoiding our allies and taking out both catapults, we collected more arrows and used some to stop enemy reinforcements, inadvertently killing Akuma. Yee, shit. I guess it was our turn for some friendly fire. Luckily, he came back and we filled up on arrows before closing the last door. We looped a Conqueror and Akuma dropped a pallet, again making me think we're playing the wrong game. Trying to reach the tower, we ran past more enemies before a lawbringer locked us out. Akuma tried to open the gate for us, but we had to protect him from waves of enemies. As per usual, our wombo combo was unmatched, and once Akuma got the gate open, we asked him to hold it for a minute longer while our unblockable feat recharged. Taking in the sights of the battle, we were almost jumped by a warden, but managed to get through the gate just in time. 3 floors and 3 enemies stood between us and Apollyon, and you guessed it, they were no match for orange light spam.
Ooh, that was a close one.
Again, we waited for our feats to recharge before coming face to face with Apollyon. At the first phase of her boss fight, we hit a checkpoint, and we were about to see if For Honor truly could be beat without getting hit. Apollyon wouldn't come at us unless we locked onto her, so we pulled out the cheese and rapid-fire blasted her with arrows, and... oh, she doesn't take damage until we started the duel. Not that it's really a duel, because in the back she had 2 henchmen slaughtering some knights who would quickly join her side. So, like phase 2 of Gudmundur, we had to put down her wolves before fighting her. Immediately we rushed to the back, hoping Apollyon would get tied up with the minions, but obviously they didn't last long, so we had no choice but to resort to orange hit and roll tactics. Surprisingly, the captain was still standing, giving us a chance to finish off the peacekeeper, but we missed and got caught by Apollyon. This was really close, and I was sure we'd get to a 1v1 next time. Yeah, we weren't having much luck. Hell, we even got hit by the knight captain one time. Things were not going well, until the captain decided to atone for his sins. We dealt with the warden, and the peacekeeper was still tied up with the captain, allowing us to deal some serious damage before Apollyon swooped in and killed him. But while the peacekeeper followed us to her doom, Apollyon stood over the captain's corpse and just didn't move, giving our feats the time to recharge. Not that we needed them for this phase, since she only threw super telegraphed heavies, and several parries later, and I do mean several, we had beaten Apollyon's first phase. Unlike our dreams, her castle was crumbling, and she used this to escape to higher ground. Unfortunately, the high ground wouldn't protect her from orange light spam. Oh, she can parry. So once again, we had to deal with Apollyon's goons, and this time had to loop her until our feats recharged before fighting her. This time for her phase 2, we made sure to also boost our attack damage, hoping we could deal enough damage quickly before she remembered how to parry. Retreating once more, Apollyon made her final stand. And if you somehow hadn't guessed it by now, we weren't planning on taking those 11 fire arrows home with us. With 3 arrows to spare, we had beaten Apollyon and officially became the first to complete the entirety of For Honor story mode without getting hit. Not in one consistent run beginning to end, and aside from a tutorial and 2 scripted sequences of course, but still, we did it. Genuinely, I didn't think this would be possible. I thought for sure there was going to be 1 or 2 missions where I'd have to bend the rules or admit defeat, but that was surprisingly not the case. It's amazing what being incredibly stubborn can lead you to do. Oh, hey, I just realized, where have the Vikings been this whole time? Thank you guys so much for watching. If you enjoyed this run or just want to lift my spirits after such a draining experience, a like and a comment with your favorite or most surprising part goes a long way. Thank you again also to Project Orochi. Have a good one, and I'll see you on the next video.